historian.
Hey guys, Steve the Amateur Historian here with another episode of Googling America, and I've got a really cool Google adventure here for you guys today. A really mysterious spot. A spot that's gotten a little bit of attention online. You can find some articles about it, some intrigue. There's definitely a video or two on YouTube of people who have explored this place. I hadn't heard of it until today. And this is a small little dead-end road known as Lincoln Way, located near the town of Clairton, Pennsylvania, just southeast of Pittsburgh. Now, Lincoln Way, if you go onto Google Maps today, and you drop yourself down right at the start of Lincoln Way, you'll see that it's blocked off by a couple of road markers. So when I first dropped down there after hearing about this place, I thought, oh great, well I'm not going to be able to see anything except what you can see from the head of the street. However, that's because the Google imagery down on the road is recent. Now, before the road got blocked off, the Google car was able to make a trek through this town way back in October 2007, so you can actually see imagery from 2007 along this road. And even then, there were several homes that were totally abandoned, had clearly been abandoned for a long time. Some places had been emptied out on that stretch dating back to the 1970s. And essentially what gives this site so much attention is that it's this stretch of road that at one time had at least 20-30 homes on it, still has a few standing there, but as of today, I think even as of almost 10 years ago, the whole street is completely abandoned. There is not one single house that has been lived in up there in years, and people who have gone up there and adventured have gone into homes and discovered a lot of them almost still completely filled with people's belongings. Now, it is known that some of the people that lived up this road were elderly folk who presumably just eventually passed away, and then just nobody really took over control of those houses, and so they just kind of have sat out there abandoned. But that doesn't quite explain the story for the rest of these homes out there. And even in this imagery from 2007, you can see more than half the homes that you can still see have been abandoned, ransacked, the works. And it's a mystery. Apparently people who have asked the question, what the hell happened here? Why did everyone just suddenly take off? You know, I understand some of the houses being abandoned, but there's nobody living up there? And there's been lots of stories. There's a steel mill across the street. Reportedly there was a gas leak in the vicinity of Lincoln Way back in 2006, exactly a year before this imagery was taken. And apparently that's when there seemed to be an upswing in people leaving, so maybe there was some kind of endangerment from the mill, maybe there was, gas endangerment. It's hard to believe that because there's literally, one side or the other of Lincoln Way, there's other streets and there's other houses there that are inhabited and have still been inhabited. It's hard to say that that's the reason Lincoln Way was abandoned, when you'd think if there's, toxic gas in the air, people who are a block away from you would also be leaving too. And that being said, there's kind of this question, like, why wouldn't anybody say anything about it? You could theorize that maybe there was some misconduct being conducted by the steel mill across the way, and maybe they tried covering it up. Not really any evidence to support that, but that's just a theory to throw around out there. There's apparently people who have visited the area have noticed lots of sinkholes, lots of collapsing ground underneath these houses, independently of just the homes being, old and falling apart themselves. That makes people think that maybe some sort of activity, potentially from the mill, is damaging the continuity of the foundations of, either side of the street there. Now, all that said, there is also a looming urban legend that suggests there's this monstrous creature that kind of lives in the woods just off the street that would torment residents. It would abduct their pets. It would, sneak up by their houses and scratch at, their walls, and just generally terrorize this one little dead-end street. And it, the concept is they terrorized it to a point that every last person was just crippled with fear and took off. That's hard to believe. I haven't heard one story from anybody who lived there who came out and said, yep, that's why I left. And again, you'd think if there's these, creatures, meandering through the forest, there's, again, houses one block over, pretty much. Everything around that small street is still being inhabited by people. You're telling me that this creature only inhabited that one little area and nobody else close by noticed anything, didn't hear any screams or scratches or growls in the night? So logistically, it almost seems possible that there's probably just a lot of older folks living up there who eventually took off, bit by bit, house after house got abandoned. When it gets to the point where there's only a few houses still being inhabited, eventually kind of everyone else is just kind of like, well, this is a shitty place to live, and kind of just one by one everyone takes off. Maybe there's other means, but it's just there's nothing you can really tie down to exactly why this happened, which makes the mystery, endlessly intriguing. I don't know if I, buy the whole urban legend thing. Apparently there's a story that came out from some people who were exploring it with the objective to disprove this urban legend, and they claim that they, one of them claimed that they encountered some, red-eyed, big, hairy, grizzly, big-footed beast, behind a house, and ran to his car and barely got away, and claimed that he saw all these, red eyes in the forest, suggesting that there was like this multitude, this battalion of creatures in the forest. It's, it's someone's story. It's probably just a creepypasta, but, there's no, to this day, there's no real resolution of this intersection. A lot of the local people are like, I don't know why people pay so much attention to it. And it's like, people pay attention to it because it's interesting, even if you don't have the urban legend, even if you don't have any explanation for why this place ended up like it. That alone attracts people, especially like me, people who are attracted. Why is this place abandoned when this place isn't? Why was this once an easily habitable place and now suddenly it's empty? Even people who live in the area who have taken notice, like, well, this community's gone, have said, Lincoln Way, that used to be a popular spot. It was this little uphill turn. You were kind of above the town. You were just secluded enough by the trees that you could get some quiet, from the mill and the highway just down the street. It was an attractive place to live, and now it looks post-apocalyptic. It's just absolutely insane, which is what attracted me to it in the first place. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the imagery that I was able to capture. Thank God a Google car went through there 11 years ago. So I hope you enjoyed the story, enjoyed the imagery. I'm probably going to be doing a lot more of these Googling America episodes because there's just so many cool hidden places to find that I can't just get into a car or get on a bus and go 10 miles up the road to find. So anyway, guys, all that said, till next time, this has been Steve the Amateur Historian, and this has been Googling America.